Hello, my name is Jonathan Castro, and today I will be discussing with you a little bit about Denton, Texas, which is the city that I've lived in for the past 5 or 6 years, and the efforts that Denton city leaders are taking to address climate change. So, a little bit about the city of Denton. Denton is part of the DFW Metroplex. Over the past number of years, Denton has experienced a large increase in population. So you can see from 2006, we had about 115,000 residents to where we sit today at about 160,000. So significant growth over the past approximately 20 years. And of course, with an increased population comes an increase in just about everything, including waste production, vehicles on the roads, everything. So knowing these things, city leaders wanted to determine where can we as a city focus our efforts to do our part for climate control when you think about climate change. So one of the answers to that was to create a work group. So they did so, and they named it Sustainable Denton. So Sustainable Denton's overall goal is to basically create a community-driven environmental action plan. So what the group has been doing is working with consultants and looking at documentation from other communities around the country, similar to Denton, who have already underwent processes like this, and then doing some studies and data collection of their own. One of the big things that they found through their research from other communities is that educating the community's residents about climate change and climate control is a challenge. That has been a barrier that many other citizens, or I'm sorry, communities have run into, and as is gaining community participation. So that's been one of the big focuses of the group is deciding how can we ensure that our community, the citizens in the city of Denton, have the opportunity to participate in the implementation, the creation and implementation of this program. So things that they've been working on so far include setting up a series of town hall meetings. There's a number of surveys that are going out both electronically and through traditional mail in water bills, as well as the city is encouraging neighborhoods and communities to develop their own groups who can come together, give their input, come up with some suggestions, and then bring those to the town hall meetings. So knowing that community involvement has been an issue in other parts of the country and in the past, this is something that the city of Denton is wanting to address early on. So the areas of concern that were identified through the group really came down to four big topics. So transportation being number one. So in 2019, over 50% of basically greenhouse gas production out of the city of Denton was from the transportation sector. So as we mentioned earlier, lots of new people living in Denton, lots of new cars on the city's roads, lots of exhaust being produced on a daily basis. Again, as we mentioned, an increase in energy demand of all utilities, electricity being a big one, though, an increase in waste production. The city's landfill, there's concern about the levels it's rising to. There's already been requests for expansion of the landfill. And then the building type that's going on in Denton, or traditionally had been in the past. Some areas of town are older and they've got more legacy or older style building construction, which tends to be less energy efficient. than some of the newer models that are being implemented today around the country. So these are the really the 4 areas of concern that were identified by the work group, and coupled with community involvement that they will be focusing their efforts on. So one question that the group asked itself is, what if we do nothing? Right. So the group identified the year 2050 as their goal year. Right. So whatever goals we come up with, we want to implement those and see what the results are going to be by the year 2050. On the flip side, though, what does the year 2050 look like in the city of Denton, Texas, if we do nothing? Right. So obviously, we know global warming is a concern. The Texas summers are getting hotter and hotter, so that's not going to change. So if we do nothing, there's going to be an increase in the number of days that we have to run our air conditioning units in our houses. With that comes an increased electricity demand and the greenhouse gases that are produced from that, increase in water usage and wastewater. And then, of course, the population of Denton is only slated to continue to grow. There's still land for development and houses being built all the time. So an increased number of cars on the roads and an increase in transportation emissions. So our number one area for improvement, being the transportation sector, will only continue to worsen if we do nothing about it. How do we get greener, though, in the city of Denton? So the Sustainable Denton Group set a goal of achieving a net zero emission by the year 2050. So what does that mean? Net zero means that the city of Denton, if we achieve the goal, will only be producing as much greenhouse gas as we can absorb. So net zero means there's nothing left on the table, right? We're making it, we're pulling it back in the same amount. So the goals directly related to the main problem areas are going to be to reduce waste, right? So educating residents and commercial businesses on how to reduce food waste. This comes back to limiting the capacity or expanding the capacity actually that our current landfill is able to hold. Implementing compost collection programs for residential and commercial customers, and then increasing the current landfill's gas to electricity production. If you're able to produce more electricity out of the current landfill, then that's kind of that whole renewable resource type of thing going on. So renewable energy, right into that. Just mentioned that with gas to electricity from the landfill. Another big push is going to be wind farms, right? So electricity production through wind generation, and then the new standards on building construction. Can we implement some green building construction policies or codes? So, and there's also talk about incentives for homeowners to purchase energy efficient appliances. Low carbon transportation. The city of Denton wants to become a low carbon hub of the Metroplex and potentially manufacture electric vehicles and e-bicycles. They want to develop low carbon shipping and distribution and implement a low or no emission zone near the university in downtown Denton and in certain planned communities around the city. So low or no emission probably means lots of e-bikes, electric vehicles, traditional bicycles, and walks in the evening. So we know, as mentioned previously, community involvement is a known challenge. However, it is crucial to the sustainability and success of any environmental protection plan. Citizen surveys, town hall meetings, and neighborhood and community meetings are going to be key to making this thing, to getting the buy-in from the citizens, which will eventually lead to compliance. That is all I've got for you today. Thank you.